It 100% happens. I'd say 99% of it will always happen behind closed doors in terms of in the manager's room. It'll never filter down to the players because you can't have an assistant or one of the coaches undermining the manager, especially in front of players.
So Aaron's already mentioned the genius that is Arsène Wenger.
Yeah.
I mean, is he the genius? Is he the genius? And then the next question after that is who's the best gaffer that you've worked with?
There were times where I was literally in my living room at like 8:30 at night, and everyone's in there, and then before I know it, it's 11:30. The lights are off. Everyone's gone to bed. And I've literally gone up from the street. I'm like, where's everyone gone? Yeah, and you know what? And that is exactly like I speak to managers now, and it's exactly the same for them. Like they do not switch off. They say to me, like, if you're really serious in getting involved in going to coaching and managing, just be prepared for it to take over your life.
I think we're about to witness the birth of Steve Streamswell, aren't we? I think it's going to switch. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FM show. I am of course your host Tony Jameson, joined as always by the one and only RDF Tactics aka Aaron Falloon. We've got Maggio with us as well, who's sporting some brand new eyes, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. We should actually say a massive welcome to a special guest who is a former Premier League and international level footballer. He is a TV pundit, he is a podcaster, and he is now something of a football manager expert. Everyone say hello to the notorious SID, Steve Sidwell. How are you, pal? Are you well?
I mean, that's a great intro. I'd say 3/4 of it is probably true. The last quarter is debatable, very debatable, I think, from some of the chat that was happening when we was trying our best on Football Manager.
Mate, come on! I've given intros that have been more litigious than that, so you can have that one. That's
all right. I'm taking it. I've had a lot worse, to be fair, so I'm taking that all day long.
Exactly. So we should say that first of all, that before people sort of go like, "Oh my God, Steve Sidwell's on the podcast." Why? Well, Steve Sidwell's on the podcast because you and I, Sid, we've recently been doing a bit of a collab with Jameson Whiskey, haven't we?
We have, yes, and it started in a cold morning down in Newport. So a bit of background to it. People that don't know, we got asked by Jameson, a little bit of collaboration by Jameson Whiskey and Football Manager, to go into the dark depths of Newport County and try and get them promoted and see how we got on. And it worked, and we done it. And what a journey. And it was a journey. Let me tell you, there were some highs and there were some serious lows. But it was stressful. I didn't think it was going to be that stressful. If I'm really honest with you. Well, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts, I'm sure. But yeah, listen, that was the remit, and we achieved it. So what an achievement it was.
What an achievement. We'll explain what was going on. So as you say, right, so we got this thing, right? So to go and work with Newport. Now, the reason we got Newport as well was because Jameson, obviously they sponsor the EFL, they sponsor Newport County, and there's a player called Kyle Jameson there. So that made sense to have us sort of like trundle down to Newport. And then my surname's Jameson, which is how I got involved, because let's face it, right? That works for me. But you've never played Football Manager, Steve. You were saying this is the first time you've been into it. So, like, at what point did you go, hang on, what?
Well, that from the very start. When it got pitched to me, it was one of them where it was like, do you want to take part of this? You know, Jameson Whiskey collaboration and Football Manager. Do you know anything about Football Manager? I was like, yeah, I kind of know a bit about it. I've got sort of sons that are in and out of the game, and I've seen players that play it when I was playing. So I just thought, yeah, listen, it's a challenge. It's and I like a challenge, and it certainly was a challenge. But the most important thing is it was fun. It was real fun. It was relaxed. As much as it got serious, and that's like, you guys will know this. Once you're in it, I was hooked badly. And yeah, so I decided to do it, and I'm really pleased that I did.
Yeah, no, like we're glad that you were part of it. And like Aaron, you've recently been working, obviously sporting the Dynamo shirt there. Aaron, Steve, you might not know, but Aaron did the feature in association with Football Manager. I'll do the plug, Aaron, because normally it's you doing it, right? Aaron represented England in Football Manager, like at the World Cup. John Terry was there, Big Sam Allardyce was there, and as part of the challenge, Aaron had to manage Dinamo Zagreb with second yellow card, and they flew him out. So as he's sporting the shirt, so I mean, we went to Newport. He went all the way to Croatia.
Wow!
Yeah,
wow. Is this the highest that we can get to? Is it? Jeez.
Yeah, If even me, when I was like there, I was like, "What is going on?" Like in my head, I'm like, "This is all for a game that I should play in my bedroom." Like this is all happening. But it's funny, like because I remember at the World Cup, John Terry and Hasselbank was there. I think John Terry knows a little bit about the game. But Hasselbank's face, when everyone was screaming in the background when their goals were being scored, Hasselbank's face was like, "What is going on?" He had no idea. It just looked like a spreadsheet to him. He had no idea what was going on.
There was parts of that, to be fair, that was confusing me when TJ was going in the dark depths and clicking and signing players and taking this clause out and this and this and. You know, the cursor was just looked like it was.
I was going to say,
doing a tornado up and down the screen. I was like, this is blowing my mind. But again, learning the game, that's what you need to do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a teacher, Steve got given for me.
Yeah,
like, oh, you never played Football Manager, TJ will show you.
I remember the first night, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm glad I've been paired with you because you know what you're doing." And your face when your reaction was like, "I don't know if we're going to get Newport promoted. I mean, to be fair, you've done better than they're doing in real life. They are. Although they could, I think they could still maybe if they get a lucky run reach promotion, which you sort of had at the end, right? You had ups and downs.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe talk through a little bit the season the two of you had.
Right. Okay. So we started off as Steve said. We started off in going to Newport to actually do the promo shoot. Okay. So Steve rocks up in a limo. Not his own limo, by the way. He's not like Billy Big Bollocks, right? A limo.
I'm so glad you just clarified.
You just had to clear that out.
I covered that. Looking under the bus like I did later on in the save. Right? But, no. So the whole premise was that Steve was going to come in and save Newport. And I'm going to be there and be his sort of like his assistant. And we shoot this promo. And it was fantastic, cold, but fantastic.
Yeah.
And then we were doing some live in-person streams as well. So Jameson have a pub in Whitechapel, I think it is.
Yep.
And we sort of rocked up together, put this streaming setup together. And me and you just sort of looked at it and just went, "Got to do this live." Like, okay. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like being thrown into one of my kids' bedrooms with all the screens there, the hard drive was up, there was lights flashing. I was like, "Whoa, this is they've gone to town on this, they really have." Yeah.
But you didn't look like rabbit in the headlights. Like we loaded it up and Aaron, we've spoken before about this, barrier to entry to FM. If you've played before, it can look a bit daunting. And we had like vanilla skin, vanilla database, like nothing fancy and like all that sort of like good stuff that you maybe have yourself. But we just loaded it up and went, "Steve, this is what we've got. How are we going to do it?" And I set Steve the first challenge, which was do not lose to your reserve side.
It is, the game does look daunting at first, but I'm interested. Like, I'm intrigued to know from a footballer's perspective, was there like certain words in the game or certain phrases that you just caught on instantly and are like, "Okay, I know what's happening there," sort of, or you have an idea of what that area is about?
Yeah, I'd say, do you know what? In terms of like being close to reality, I think it's got to be literally the closest thing out there.
For sure.
When you first start to, picking, are you going to wear a suit? Are you going to wear a tracksuit? Are you going to be autocratic, democratic? Are you going to be a motivator? Then sort of what you're saying to the press. How you're going to address the players in the first meeting. I mean, literally, it must be exactly like if you want to go into management, anyone seriously, if you play that game for the first time, that is going to give you a taster of what you are going to expect, literally in real life. Now, whether that's going to be at Newport, or whether it's going to be non-league, lower league, or whether that's going to be in the Premier League. It was so close to the mark. It was ridiculous. Even things like, your striker's got 2 years to go where he's unhappy, and you need the remit is to lower the age group or lower the wage. It's just like it was just. I was absolutely blown away. The first time we played it, obviously we only done the 2 games, didn't we, TJ? It was the reserves team and a friendly, and I come out of that going, like, I remember walking to the tube station, about a 10-minute walk, and my mind was just going over and over. Wow, I've got all this to look forward to next week, and it grabs you for sure, for good and bad.
I think that's a good thing, though, isn't it? Because you're saying there about like meeting the players for the first time. I mean, that was like. I didn't want to tell Steve that there's little things that Football Manager likes to do because we're in an entertainment business here, aren't we? So the expectation for the club was to avoid relegation or sit mid-table. Steve goes in first day on the job. What would you do in that situation if the board are telling you to avoid relegation? What would be your thing there? Hello, players.
I've just made that mistake. I went and said we're going to win the league, and they're like, I'm in my own save, and they're all expecting mid-table, and they all got mad at me. So, and guess what? Halfway through the season, we're top of the league. So, sometimes it proves, it is not, the players aren't always right. They need to set their expectations a bit higher. But did they got a bit mad? Did they? The players, were they upset at the suggestion to win the league instead of relegation?
Wow, I actually think some of them stormed out the room. Right, they did.
Do you think real players?
It did not go down well at all.
How do you think real players would react?
You know what? I think it's one of them. I mean, I've had a fair few managers in a fair few clubs over my career, and every time the manager comes in, whether that's going to be the first meeting is going to be in the dressing room, or whether it's going to be in the players' lounge, or whether it's on the training pitch, it's all been different, I think. And I think that all comes down to the manager, really. Where they're going to feel most relaxed for me to go in there and tell them what I'm all about and what our ambitions are going to be for the season. And they've got to be realistic. They have got to be realistic, but you want it to come out that it's going to be pushed. It's not going to be an easy ride, even though we're at a club that maybe achieving mid-table might be, a target. You still want your manager to go, listen, realistically, we're looking at probably mid-table, but if we're on a roll, there's no reason to say that we can't aim higher. And, as the season progresses, but yeah, I've never seen no one walk out of a meeting as probably some wanted to do on the one that we held.
You all looked at each other and thought, this manager's a bit crazy.
I think we've all looked at each other and thought that. We did, yeah. We went Jameson green, didn't we? So, but no, it's nice to see that it's that it finally worked anyway. So.
Yeah, I thought you were going to set a world record for the 100-meter sprint when they chased you out the dressing room at that point.
Just imagine that Chelsea dressing room with 50 players. That 50 meter.
Couple of
left wingers, right?
What's going on here, by the way? Because we can't fit everyone in.
We've got 7 keepers, right? Number 1 spot. Still up for grabs.
Right, I want us all to win the league. All to win the league. The spaceship. What? Hang on. Miss what's going on here. But yeah. So first game in there. Then so we did the expectations. We got ourselves set up. Tactic was working fine. We had Steve Sidwell ball. We had Steve's philosophy went in, and I was very, very keen, Steve. I was very keen to play Sidwell ball, right?
Yeah.
However, during this process, right, as part of the collaboration and the idea with it being that Football Manager is a very solo game, and we wanted to bring people together and have people playing it collectively. We brought in some other streamers as well. So we had Lelujo as a guest streamer, we had Zealand as a guest streamer, and we had Clates as a guest streamer as well. So we'd spent Wednesday evening, getting ourselves lovely, having a look at the team. Steve's got his formation, his tactic. Everything's lovely. I jumped into a stream with Lelujo on the Friday, who basically said, I don't like that. I've won loads of things as Football Manager, so I think we're just going to do this. And granted, in fairness, we won like 7 games in a row. And I was like, that's fine. But I was like, oh, Steve's not going to be happy about this. Steve's not going to like this. I'm going to have to go and tell Steve that we're not playing the way that he wants. And the board was saying, we had to sign under 21 players and get them from like lower leagues and stuff. And we're in League 2, like non-league players are under 21. So I went and signed a 42-year-old Morten Gamsch Pedersen, didn't I?
Yeah. That was a bit rogue. That you went absolute rogue on us all. To be fair, I just want to rewind 1 second. When we're saying sort of Sidwell ball, I know exactly where I'm at. I know I'm at Newport, and I'm not expecting us to start playing out from the back.
You're going to get to Sidwell ball version 2.0 as this podcast goes on.
But I weren't going gung-ho 4-3-3, going crazy. It was literally, I was going, right, okay, listen, if I'm down there, it was a 4-2-3-1. It was get it up, get it wide, get crosses in the box, get some numbers in the box. And it kind of worked at the start. And then, we just tweaked it here and there for giving them the work. That was part of our journey.
Right. Okay, so Steve, Aaron's the tactician of the podcast, okay? He's called RDF Tactics, right? That's his vibe, okay?
Yeah.
So, Aaron, first of all, that I'm no tactician, right? I'll try and put football logic into this game, whether it kills me or not. Right?
That's the trap.
So explain, Aaron, to Steve, because I'm trying to absolve myself from some of the blame here. When you win loads of games and you turn the computer off and you hold it back up again, that's a thing, right?
That's 100% a thing. Yeah, So sometimes when I'm streaming and we're on this run and I'm looking at the time, I'm like, it's midnight. The missus is going to be upset, but I've got to stay on to keep this run going because I know the moment I turn this computer off and we wake up tomorrow, the results are just going to go the opposite way. And it's definitely a Football Manager thing. Is it? I don't know if it's a superstitious. I don't know. I certainly believe it's an actual thing though. I did want to ask though, because it's funny. So it's funny with the Lelujo thing coming in, changing your tactics. And I just had this think like, when you're at a football club, does this happen where you've got the backroom staff and their head coach just not going at it, but they've got like their own ideas and like they don't agree with certain ideas? Yeah, that must happen, right? Because you don't want yes men just saying yes to everything you're saying, right?
Yeah. No, it 100% happens. I'd say 99% of it will always happen behind closed doors in terms of in the manager's room. It'll never filter down to the players because you can't have an assistant or one of the coaches undermining the manager, especially in front of players. So, but it'll definitely say behind closed doors, look, this isn't working. And I know that for a fact because when I went into coaching, I see it and I've done it myself as well.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, the manager always wants someone that's going to sort of push him or look at it through a different lens or, just give a different, perspective of it. So, and sometimes it might take players. I've done it once before where you have lots of kind of leadership groups within the squad, and when things aren't working well, you'll go into the manager and you'll see him. Or when I've been a captain, and you go in to see the manager as well, because they're not so much to change the tactics as such, because I think that's where a manager's still got to stay strong. He's still got to stay strong.
Yeah.
If that's the way of you're playing, then you just tweak it within that system, not by changing formations and stuff. So, but no, I definitely agree that your staff and your number two need to challenge you all the time. But yeah, going back on that one where you said like turning off, you boys went on a run towards the end of the season, TJ, didn't you? And I was watching it live. I wasn't even on like doing it with TJ. I was watching it and I am screaming at my screen saying, "Don't stop! You don't turn it off! Don't turn it off!" So yeah, and I remember the way that I could describe it. It's like being in a casino or around a roulette table and just on a heater and then and then you go, you can't walk away. Or on the other way where they're having a bad run and they can't win for nothing, you have to just go, right, that's it, we got to just come back another day. So that's similarities.
Me a second yellow card when we was on the Champions League run. He's just like, what have you done? What tactic are you using? I'm like, I don't know what's happening. It's just that you got that nut with me. You just keep winning. Like, I don't even want to make a sub at this point. I'm just gonna leave the boys out there. They're fixing it.
Yeah, well, we'll touch upon where we get to as the show goes on. Like, but Si, I mean, that's the thing. So we've got three mixtures of personalities here. So we've said that it's not just the manager and the assistant manager. We've got me and Steve. We've got guest streamer. Then me on my own to try and continue this, and then I'm at the wheel being like. Having a great time, and then going to Steve on the Wednesday and being like, Steve, guess what happened? And it wasn't good. And I mean, like, it's a bit like a hot potato save almost in that sense, isn't it, Si?
I guess you were the glue, but like that dodgy Pritt stick you get in primary school, right?
That's a cheap
one that doesn't actually stick anything.
I was Gloy, the one you used to get at school that was just kind of squeegee thing. And
oh my god!
You know what I mean, right? Yeah. So it got a bit up in the air and a bit dicey, and Steve and I had a couple of dodgy ones when we came back to the pub on the Wednesday, and some of the performances weren't quite hitting, and we were sitting mid-table at that point, Steve. We'd started well, and then felt like there was this natural sort of slump, and I guess you said there, in like real football, you know, I felt like I had a constant new manager bounce because we're jumping in and out with new gaffers, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I was getting any consistency like from myself to put into the team, and we had a couple of decent results when they had that sort of that midpoint save, and then we had Zealand, who had to sit and pull everything apart and try and put it back together during the January transfer window. And give us the best sort of footing to move from. And it was like looking at, okay, right, you want to play out wide? Well, your wide players aren't particularly good. You want to play this striker who'd scored 14 goals, by the way, and me and you were going, he plays. And Zealand's like, he's not playing. I'm like, but he's just scoring goals. Like, I know his attributes say he shouldn't, but he is. Because we loved Big Seb, wasn't it? Palmer Holden was our boy, 6'4" worth of target forward, and we loved him, didn't we?
Yeah. He was a bit of our go-to man, wasn't he? He was banging in the goals, but I think somehow, I mean, Plange was also doing it for us, but sort of in a way that not really getting noticed. And it more so when you was doing the streams, because I mean that is how invested I was. I mean, I was only doing it once a week. But I was jumping on the ones that I was messaging you, wasn't I? Saying, listen, send me the link because I want to watch this. And there were times where I was literally in my living room at like 8:30 at night, and everyone's in there. And then before I know it, it's 11:30. The lights are off. Everyone's gone to bed. And I've literally gone up from the screen. I'm like, where's everyone gone?
Yeah, and this is the thing, Si. Like we've all tried to explain to people outside of the Football Manager circle, like, you know, we're all adults. Like, we should have left this way behind us, you know. But trying to talk to people and going, oh yeah, but the reason we get invested in it is because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I didn't think that Steve was going to be watched. I thought Steve was just going to be, I'm going to have me Wednesdays, and that's going to be me. And then I'm getting text messages on stream going, cracking result that lad, and I'm like, either he's taking a wild guess or he's watching. And I mean, Si, that's the beauty in it. When you can convince someone who's not connected to this to get involved, that's like,
I think once you start getting into it, like you're just invested, aren't you? And I think at that point, I assume Steve is invested in, like, you know, he wants to get promoted and he's watching the results, and like you want that success at the end. It is tough to turn off. Like the number of times you don't want to stop your save. I remember when I was a student, sometimes I would be up all night. Like this is 15 years ago, before there was even a 3D match engine, and more than 15 years ago. And like my college mates would wake up in the morning and they'd be like, "You haven't been to bed, Si?" And I'd be like, "What do you mean?" I look at the time and it's like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. They're all ready to go to lectures. And I'm like, oh, do I have to go to lectures now? You know, I want to keep playing my save. I don't want to go to bed. So yeah, it's I guess like you guys had a finite, you know, cutoff point in the pub, right? Which kind of helped. I mean, I get like maybe we'll come back to it. You've got them promoted. Is there part of you that wants to carry that on? I've jumped ahead. Maybe come back to the question.
I'm talking for them. Sometimes when you have a plan, when you have a job to do, just do the job. Don't do more than that job.
I am more than happy to bail out now, because the thing is, as I'm doing it, as like the shows are going on and we're getting towards the end, I'm slowly thinking, this is not the end for me. Like, this is not this is not where it finishes here.
Mm-hmm.
So one way or another, it's going to come round and I'm going to be on it somewhere. But that's the scariest thing as well, that I know, like, I've got that personality where if I'm doing something, I'm in, and if I'm in, I am all in. And I think that's the worrying thing at the minute, where I think it's at the moment, in terms of where I am, I'll probably answer one of your questions a bit early on this, is that, am I going to play this? Yes, I am, right? But at the minute, the God, like, the saving thing for me is I'm in the middle of a house build at the moment. So we're renting a house. So we've got boxes and, like tables. Like, it's everywhere. So I can't even sort of get even like a setup or get rigged up. So whereas if I had like, once I get into the new place, or even if when I was in my old house, if I knew I had a space where I could just get it hooked up, then like
tell them about the iPad version.
I was gonna say, don't even try it. Don't even think about it, because I could just imagine the boxes need moving. Let's just there with the legs up. Tomorrow morning.
I can't do that. That's not the same for me. I need like a little proper sort of like my own manager's office. That's what I need. Where I can go into and just lock away everything and just dive into it. Yeah. Oh my God. If it was on the go, then I wouldn't get no work done. No way. Even if I was working for Sky or TNT, in between adverts and stuff, I'd be checking. I like to just check.
I think we're about to witness the birth of Steve Streamswell, aren't we? I think it's going to be Twitch guy. There's a question I was going to ask, actually, and Si sort of like lent into it a little bit there, like saying about that immersion with the game, and Steve, you're saying there, like, when you're into something, you're all in, and that's what I've sort of come to understand while we've been doing this project. Did you ever get when you're walking home and you're on the train and you're driving or whatever, like, not the Wednesday, maybe like a Thursday or a Friday or something, just during the day, being like, can't believe we let that goal in from the who could actually, why are they playing like that? Like, did you ever have those moments just in the middle of the day where it just interrupts your thoughts?
Yeah. So, like, literally, I'm not even lying. That is exactly it. And even to the point of, obviously, I know there was a joke around the playing free at the back when we had to sort of do a makeshift thing. But it was a case of actually reflecting it, going, like, why didn't that work? That should have worked.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and you know what? And that is exactly, like, I speak to managers now, and it's exactly the same for them. Like, they do not switch off. They say to me, like, if you're really serious in getting involved in going to coaching and managing, just be prepared for it to take over your life, because you are constantly on the phone, one, and two, you're always forever thinking about it. Well, like, how can I get my striker scoring again? Like, why are we shipping in so many goals? How can we score from set pieces? Like, it's just never ending. And this is just it's a proven sort of stick of it, that, like, this is what happens in real life. Literally, plain and simple.
Yeah, that's.
I'm glad that you're one of us now, because
I was gonna say,
because then you understand the moment when we're tearing our hair out at the computer screen, going like, "What am I meant to do?" And because we had such a finite amount of time for the save as well, we had 4 weeks essentially to tell this story. So we had to tell a story in 4 weeks. Like, we'd agreed, in a weird way, that at the start of the stream, that finishing mid-table was boring. Finishing third and going up automatic was boring. But the best story that we could tell would be winning the playoffs. Now, the game doesn't let you pick what story you're going to do, but you can kind of lead it towards various things. And there was a moment where Ziegler did come in, he made us play a diamond, he made us compact, and we were just going to launch the ball, direct football, and I was like, get in, midfielders aren't touching the ball. This is going to be brilliant, right? You know, like just like, and it was fine. Then we turned up to this really intense week where we had Zealand Tuesday, you and I Wednesday, Clates Thursday, you and I Friday. We built it as promotion party. And on the Tuesday, that didn't look like it was going to be that at all. So Zealand fixed it all up. We went on Wednesday. We had an absolute stinker, didn't we? Like everything that could go wrong went wrong. And you must have been in dressing rooms where that's just happened, where you're looking at each other going, I don't get it. I don't get it. How this?
No, it's like I mean, but the closest I can put it towards is, unfortunately, I got relegated with Fulham in 2014 from the Premier League. And that little mini section of what we done there of losing 3 and drawing 1, I think we done out of 4. So 1 point out of sort of 4 games.
That was a 0-0 against third bottom as well.
Yeah, and that was a scraped 0-0 as well. Like, it reminded me of that. It reminded me of literally being in that sort of run at Fulham, going like, we've got a chance of getting relegated here, boys. And before you know it, whatever, sort of 9 games turns into 16, 16 turns into 23, 33 games turn into 36, and you're like, wow, we've got like literally a couple of games to go to save our skin. So and you just can't quite put your finger in it. I don't know why. Again, it's the computer gods that just roll the dice for you, I suppose.
Yeah, and Si, we ended up doing what no football manager should do. Just clicked all the buttons and hoped for the best. Just like any plan, like, we lost our calm so quickly. We were like, here's plan A. And then within about 3 minutes went, plan A is on fire. It's got another plan. Like,
do you think does that, like, if you're a player and you see things are going wrong, like, do you go to the manager with these? I guess you said earlier not with tactics, but like, how likely are you to go to the manager and say, hey, like, we need someone in this position or in that position? Or
yeah, I think it happens quite a lot. You know, it actually happens even in game. More often than not, the manager will spot it, or the assistant will, and then, like, now there's so many times where you get the tactical injury where someone goes down, the rest of the team run over to the subs bench or to the tactical area. But yeah, literally before you know it, there's a whiteboard out with markers, or there's an iPad out, and there's like a bit of a tactical change. I mean, I think that's a given now as well, isn't it? I remember seeing Gary O'Neill doing it up at Wolves so many times. So yeah, listen, it does happen. But yeah, I think the good thing is when you're playing, you're involved in the changes, whereas when you're playing on a game, you're clicking buttons, but then you're still not really in charge of what goes on after.
And that's the difficult bit to explain to someone who doesn't play it, that you're in charge of the team, but you're not playing the matches. So like FIFA, AFC, you play the game, and if you lose, then that's down to you. But there's a little bit with this game going, well, it's not technically my fault that we've lost. Like,
we hit the crossbar and they scored their only shot, and the goalkeeper was on fire. I've got my whole book of excuses ready.
Well, thankfully, we've now got the excuse of Steve Sidwell ball 3.0, which is 3 at the back, 5 in the midfield, and 2 players who don't know where they are.
That was a one-off, and that was because we was chasing the game. And we needed to get back involved. I think we was getting beat. Was it maybe? Well, was that the Wimbledon one where it was 4 down?
Wimbledon one. How many were there?
There was a couple.
So where this came from? So it came from the Mansfield game, where we went 3-0 down pretty early on in the game, and this was literally like following Zealand's tactic, which was working really well. It's the first save after you've turned the computer off. So it's like, all right, I look like a liar now. Like, we fixed everything, and now it looks like it's not working. So between us, that match, we thought we have to push, and just, we might as well go for it in the second half. We've got nothing to lose. And we ended up in a situation where we had like almost like a 3-3-4.
Yeah.
At one point towards the back end of the game, and we pulled it to 3-2, and we were gunning for the third goal. If we'd had 5 more minutes, we'd have got a draw. And it was like, we threw the kitchen sink. And then at that point, we sort of like, next match went right, start again, didn't quite work, so we adjusted, start again, didn't work, adjusted. And then for the Wimbledon game, we had a conversation between the pair of us and went, look, that 3 at the back sort of worked. It was attacking, like maybe that's the way to go. Let's go attacking. And 6-1 down. There's a moment that both of us are leaving. And they missed a penalty as well, I think.
Yeah, it was a sore watch. It was a sore watch. That I felt like a lonely manager on my own in the technical area, getting abused, absolutely abused. Yeah, it was. I could feel like I feel eyes in the back of my eye, like the head, and yeah, that one's where you just want the game to be over and get down the tunnel, get home, and cry.
So who was the main manager? Who was the decision maker at that time?
We both were.
Okay.
I tried to chuck Steve under the bus first of all in order to play the story, but we both were. I'm busy clicking the buttons, going, "This might work." Like, yeah, there's a plan here, but
because I remember with second on the card, right? So at the World Cup, there was like so many rules, and if you win the Super Cup, right, which is like in Croatia, the done was the first game, so it's like your first opportunity to win points. Everyone in our group won that game, apart from us. So it's like first game, and then like, because I'm the main manager and then second on the card's the assistant, that's just already I felt like it was tension, which went silent between us. And I could just feel eyes just looking at me, like, "What have you done?" And I'm just like, "Oh."
So I'm sat here going like, I don't want to play this game really badly because it's going to reflect badly on Steve, right? I'm thinking like he's going to be looking, going, "Why are you here? Like, I've not played the game before. Have you played the game?" You don't look like you know what you're doing either. And obviously, Steve, you'll know as a footballer, the fans get on your back and they're chanting, and chucking whatever they want at you, like from the stands. The equivalent for us, and it's nowhere near the same equivalent, but lads, we've got everyone in the chat going, "Do this, do this."
Oh,
I know that.
The chat, the wolf.
And sometimes as helpful and as wonderful as they are, the converse of that as well. If when you're in that moment and you're like, you've lost control of it, endless instructions of what else would do.
That's when my fist starts clenching. When I start seeing that in the chat, like, you guys.
Well, that's football, isn't it?
I was just going to say,
exactly.
Harry Redknapp, didn't he? And he had to get the fans out. You sit there and do better than that point.
Yeah. It's exactly the same. Literally, you've got your one screen is your game, and then you've got another screen, and I mean right next to it of the chat, and you're trying to look at the game, and then you're really trying to look at. You don't want to look at it, but you are looking at it. And you can just see abuse coming down this side, and you often just get like I don't even know, like a bit of paper or a black bin liner or something to stick over this screen. Yeah, it's different if it's like out of your eye view, but this one was right in front of us for something. I think it was done for on purpose. But
maybe we should do it at real football games. Have the tweets on the big screen or something as the game's happening.
Oh,
that would really put off some managers.
Imagine that.
Yeah, but we rode that one out. Well, we rode it out. We put our tail between our legs. And we had a couple of pints, and we went, "Well, we've got a mountain to climb now, right?" Yeah. And the following night was with Clates, and what we did at that point is we got rid of football logic and remembered that there's ways to win on Football Manager, which is just to play the game. And Clates did all of the bits that Simon and Aaron know that I don't like doing, all the bits like praising players. Like old school in that sense. But
thank you for doing well in training.
Exactly. Like, I scored a goal. Well done. Like, that sort of thing.
Well, the first thing you done was organiser friendly. That was the first thing you done in the midweek. I'm thinking, I've never done that as a player. I've never done that as a player. But
could that logic work though? Now, if you think about it, if you're in that rock, could you just have a behind the close game and just smash someone 7-0.
That's exactly what they've done. They've done that after. Did we win 10-0? Was it 10-0 we won? We won 10-0. Confidence was back up. I'm not thinking, wow, if that works there, then it's got to work in real life. So
it never happens. I'm surprised it doesn't happen in real life. I mean, I know we get these stupid midweek friendlies off in Qatar or wherever now.
Yeah,
but you know, like, have you never been a bit like, okay, you're going to play against the under-19s in a match in the middle of the week?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever done that. The only times it has happened is if there's a bit of a gap in a couple of weeks, and it's more for a fitness or a tick over, but never one for, oh, we're in a bit of a rut, we need to organise something. It was more the other way around. It was more a case of, right, what do the boys want? We need a team bonding session. And I know we've done a lot of team bonding sessions, didn't we, TJ? There was a lot of them involved.
Loads of paintball and loads of escape rooms.
Yeah.
What would you do for team bonding? What would be your choice of activity?
Oh, well, I've literally done everything from the usual, from go-karting to paintballing to literally no phones, everyone's out and locked away, and no one's allowed home until a certain time. We've done mid-season trips where we're telling our other halves that we're going warm weather training, and we've not even seen a football, and we've just gone out every day. I know every night. Yeah, there's been everything really, and yeah, I think you got to read the room. You need to read your dressing room and what's going to work. But yeah, on the whole, a team bonding session will always get everyone sort of back on track. And I think as well, just getting away sometimes from the training ground and from the environment, just a couple of days away, just to sort of break the mold, just break the sort of cycle, and just sort of come back refreshed and ready to go.
What was the best dressing room you were in for that sort of environment, or was it like, is it different for different stages of seasons or whatever? Like, I've stood out for you to go like, oh.
I've got to say, and this is not a lie, every dressing room I was in I loved it. I loved going into work every day. Now, whether that was when I started at Arsenal, when I went to Reading, because we had a young team at Reading that was just riding the wave and we was getting promoted, and then Premier League. Fulham was great. Even Aston Villa, when I weren't really playing and I had some difficulties on and off the pitch, but I still enjoyed going in. And Stoke as well. Stoke was one of the best dressing rooms, because you can imagine what it was like at Stoke. I never forget at Stoke when we played Arsenal, and it was a build up to Arsenal.
A bit touchy. A bit touchy this one.
it was the build up. I couldn't believe this, right? So it was the build up to Arsenal at home. And I remember it got to like Wednesday, Thursday, and training was pretty normal. And I remember going to Ryan Shawcross, our captain. I was like, "Whoa, got like tough game Saturday," and he went, "Nah." He goes, "We'll win this." And this is like Stoke, that was like sort of mid-table, like maybe pushing for Europe. Arsenal was sort of gunning for Champions League easily, and he was like, "We'll win this." He said, "Watch them when they turn up." And I never forget. I watched them when they turned up, walked down that dressing room. They walked out to the pitch before the game, like every team does. The corner flag when you walk out of the dressing room of the tunnel is just blowing like this. This is the corner flag where the wind.
I would have, depending what year it is, I would have been there. And I remember every single set piece. And this was like an Arsenal thing as well. It wasn't necessarily just Stoke, but it was an Arsenal thing where every away game, I just knew whenever we're defending the set piece, head in hands and just pray for the best. Arsenal at that time, it was I could imagine certain teams like, it's not, oh no, we got Arsenal. It's like, yes, we got Arsenal. Come on,
that's it. Just make the game ugly,
difficult,
make it rough for them. Yeah. So, but yeah, the banter and the dressing room, the liveliness at Stoke was brilliant. I got to say, like there was a laugh every single day, and a dressing room as well that manage itself. Like the manager might have to come down once or twice and maybe speak in someone's ear and just go, "Listen, nip this in the bud," and it would just be door shut. Everyone's in a meeting, right? Done. And or if you needed training to like increase a little bit, or whatever, there could be certain scenarios where he could just govern it into the dressing room and it would just police itself. It was that. And if as a manager, if you've got that, then that is half the battle won. If you can get someone or a collective that can organise itself and police itself, that's half your job done as well.
Yeah, definitely. And with that in mind, we basically gave that job to Clates, didn't we? Just like,
to be fair, I was watching that stream. That's the one that I was hooked on as well. And you're right. All you done, I remember you guys during the game were just having a chat. You was going off piece on chat and just going, oh, we just got again. Oh, it got so sort of naive that we was going to win every game, and you guys were just, look, he's a bit tired. We might have to make a sub. Make a sub, and then you're going back talking about something else that you was doing like the night before, or we got planned for next week. It was crazy.
Yeah, what was it? We had 9 games left of the season. We won 8.
Yeah.
On the bounce, and then we were saying, well, look, we're gonna have to give the final game to Steve. We've got 1 point to get confirmed in the playoffs, and some of the chat weren't convinced to give you that final game, Steve.
Yeah. I was screaming it at my screen, going, "No, carry on, carry on. Gotta do it."
Do you think they bottled it? Do you think they were like, and secretly, do you think they planned it like, you know what? If we've just made that run and then lost this, let's put it on Steve. Let's put it on Steve.
I think there's 2 parts to this. I think they was on a hell of a run, and they so badly didn't want, as you said in a bit earlier on, didn't want to turn this machine off, like the football gods, just to go right, that's it, game over, so that kind of thing. But also, there's the element where it goes into the last show, and if they would have done it, if they had done that game that night and not made playoffs, then the last shows that it'll be like, okay, what do we talk about then?
Nah, you're being too nice, man. They bottled it. They bottled it, man. They bottled it. The pressure, they felt the pressure. They heat in the kitchen.
Well, this is when I knew that Steve was bought in, right? This is what I said. Am I right to play this?
Go for it. Oh, yeah.
See if you can get this. So this is at the end of the stream, right? Okay, this is what I get from Sid.
Nay, any good? Oh my gosh! Played 8, scored about 170 odd goals, conceded 3. You and Clates have absolutely ripped it up, put us straight back in with a chance. All on tomorrow now. Wow, that's the most entertaining 3 hours I've ever had. Even the wife's gone to bed. She was looking at me like I'm a little kid. I felt like I was one of my teenage boys just watching someone stream gaming. Oh, mate. Wow. Come on. We got this.
So if there was ever any doubt that you bought into this, that was like the moment I was like, no. Like tomorrow's stream is going to be incredible. We rolled into the pub and we went, right, we just got to do it. So final game of the season, we need 1 point to get the playoffs. We've won 8 in a row, so we drew that game. Of course we did. And then it was the playoffs. And I've always said the playoffs is the best way to go up. Yeah. I mean, as a Portsmouth fan, you've been there. Have you? Portsmouth?
No. I'm trying to think now. No, we won the league every time. Oh, yeah, okay. we won the championship. Well, we won League 2. We went all the way down to the bottom to League 2. We won League 2 like on the last day of the season. Well, to be fair, when we won League 2, we won on the last day of the season. We were top of the table for something like 15 minutes the whole season. We won the league. We were like 12 points behind with about 5 games to go. And I can't remember who it was. Someone absolutely bottled the league, and they ended up having to play through the playoffs. It was probably Plymouth or Sunderland, but I think it was because Sunderland weren't that low actually, but Plymouth were. And then League One the same. We won the league last year, and when we won the championship to go up to the Premier League, that was the league as we won as well. So I don't think we've ever had a playoffs match, but it does look fun. Because it's like a cup final, isn't it? You get a trophy with the playoffs as well, don't you? Or do you get a plate or something? Yeah. Whereas like if you win the league, like most of the leagues are wrapped up, with the exception of the Portsmouth one I was just on about, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 games before the season ends. It doesn't feel like a cup final. You're not playing against the other team who, because you got a contrasting emotions with the playoffs. Some of the best matches, the end to match, was it Watford v Leicester about 2 years before Leicester won the Premier League. That Watford v Leicester match where Watford went up, and that in that Leicester team you got players like Harry Kane and stuff. And obviously Jamie Vardy, an incredible. He was at Almunia, but saved the penalty, didn't he? And Deeney goes down the other end and scores. Just like moments like that are incredible. You wouldn't get that in a regular game because you wouldn't get. I mean, you have the Aguero moment.
Those are literally the exact reasons why I prefer to go straight up. I don't want to be the Watford. I mean, I don't want to be the Leicester.
Leicester. Well, I think Leicester had the last laugh.
It can be the most entertaining game, but I would rather the league's wrapped up and I'm with the boys, with the title. We're watching that game on Sky Sports, the richest game in football.
From a streaming perspective, though, we knew the best story.
Yeah.
Via the playoffs. And Steve, we made the playoffs entertaining, didn't we?
Well, did we? I mean, what was the... Yeah, so we went into it nervous, for sure. And the first leg was 5-0? 5-0. 5-0.
Dons.
That's it. We're thinking... We've half got the suit on fitted, really, haven't we? We've booked in our slot at the local tailors, and then wow, what happened the second leg? We was 3-0 down. Did we go?
Oh,
yeah. Well, look, and this is a question. As a player, everyone says 2-0 is the most difficult scoreline. I reckon 5-0. The first leg. That's a difficult scoreline to go into the second leg. And I even said to you, I was like, we need a goal to make sure. And you're like, we're 5-0 up, and then we're 3-1 down. I was like, told you we needed a goal.
It didn't help, did it, as well? Because obviously there was a bit of a live audience behind. And when I said, "Oh, no, we're through. We're done. We're done," and everyone was like, "Why have you said that? No." And then I started thinking, "Oh no, really? This is a jinx." This is
Yeah.
But yeah,
we got
thankfully,
I think we won 4-3. I think, didn't we? On that match. So that was like 9-3 on aggregate. So yeah, we did it. And then it got to the final, and the final was just class.
Yeah.
The final was class. Cagey first half.
Yeah.
Really cagey. And you could feel it in the room.
Yeah. You really could actually, couldn't you? It was a case. There was everything. There was this sort of desperation. There was anxious. There was excitement. And then even when we scored, it was like we were going crazy. It was like, I don't know, we're not too sure. But then when that winning goal went in, I mean, the video that comes back, I still watch it now. That's on the
I've seen that clip about 50 times.
So good. He's so good. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It's literally, those are the moments that many of us, like, we will play a full season just to have that moment. And if we don't get that moment, we'll go again the next season. Some of us really do chase that moment, yeah.
How long have you guys been playing it?
For me, it's partly embarrassing because I remember playing Football Manager before doing many, many things as a child. So my dad used to play it. So I'd always be behind my dad or my older brothers, always watching them. So it's like literally like there's people talk about, didn't you watch this cartoon? Didn't you watch that cartoon? In mind, I'm like, I just remember having Football Manager on the screen. That is literally all I remember from my childhood. So yeah, I've been playing it for quite some time. Yeah, so I started very early.
So before Football Manager, it was called Championship Manager.
Yeah.
It was in 1992.
Yeah,
so I played that, and I played games of that equivalent before that as well. So like there was Kevin Tom's Football Manager, there was Kenny Dalglish Tracksuit Manager.
Yeah.
So I would have been like maybe 8 or something when I first started. So we're coming up to like almost 30 years worth of like experience to not even be this good, Steve. Like literally level. Like I should be like you play the guitar for 30 years, you should be awesome. Like
But that's the thing. That's the thing that worries me is that I've gone in. I've done one season. Obviously, I've had help along the way from you guys, and I've got promoted my first season with a massive high. And I just feel like I'm not sure how good it can get from there. Really, it's put me on a pedestal. Really, I'm a bit scared.
I used to play one called LMA Manager.
That's the one. LMA was my that was mine. It was on the PlayStation as well, so which is obviously easier for me to navigate and control as being a young person. But yeah, LMA was the one that really, really caught my. And then when you play Football Manager, you're like, okay, this is a different game. This is a different ballpark to other management games. This is a whole new level once you start actually understanding the mechanic.
Well, I think that's one of the questions, isn't it? So like, was the level of detail like that's what drew you in, or would you find yourself playing more if it was a bit more arcadey and it wasn't like as in depth, and you could just jump in, play a couple of matches, and jump back out again, and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool, I can have me little fix and away."
I mean, am I right in saying that the football manager, when that first started, I think it was with Championship Manager, when that was going, there was no kind of graphics. It was just like there was like a bar that was just up the top, like whatever team. Yeah. So I remember it being like that. And I don't think I could play it if it was like that. I think now when it goes to in-game highlights and you see some of the goals, and it definitely brings a real lifeness to it. But yeah, I think the only thing that again worries me in getting involved is all the stuff that you need to do. I mean, the stuff that you was doing, TJ, with using FFP or financial flow. Like we were getting threatened with it. You was changing people's contracts. You was not playing certain people because if they played, they got another bonus, and we couldn't afford it. Again, stuff that literally happens in real life. But I think at the start I'd be too quick that I'd want to get to the game. But I think you need to do a lot of the groundwork beforehand that obviously makes you perform in the game scenarios. So in the match,
Yeah, that was the worry when the financial fair play thing came up. I was like, please don't let us get to the end of the season and get promoted and then get a deduction. I was like, you can't take it off us that way. That's not fair at all.
It is crazy how people's mind works, right? Because I'm a person that hates conceding. Like if I'm 3-0 up and my team concede, like I'm frustrated. I don't even want the 3 points anymore. I want to go in and just berate my defense. But it's always my chat. They're like, well, at least you don't have to pay the clean sheet bonus.
Oh, yeah.
We were saving money. Like,
so why do you even think that way? But I think that's where there's a lot of, like, you can learn a lot of things, right? Where I mostly play top tier football, so I will start my seasons like in the Premier League and stuff, whereas Tony will start from the bottom up. And obviously, when you're starting from the bottom, you have to worry about those things where, obviously, being Arsenal, I don't care if I have to pay $2,000 clean sheet bonus, but for him, that £500 clean sheet bonus is life-changing money for the club.
We've got in goal. Like,
you better concede it. So I remember being an Arsenal fan, and like Chamberlain kept coming off, was it around the 70th minute? And I'm like, why is it? He's had a good game. It turns out he had something in his contract where Arsenal had to pay more once he played a certain amount of minutes. And I'm like, that is just, Wenger, that's so petty. I'm sorry, but that's so petty.
That was Dele Alli, wasn't it? One of the reasons he couldn't play many more matches.
I think it was for Everton, for his Everton, it would have activated the buy clause, and then for us, it would have activated the clause. We had to pay more money for him, and I was like, that's so petty. Should never have done the deal in the first place.
Do you think players regret those kind of deals sometimes in their contracts? Yeah,
I think it can do. I think sometimes they're a positive because if you're doing well, I mean, if it's based on appearances, for instance, it's great. But then sometimes when the club get into a financial restraint and they're like, listen, we can't afford to play you because if we do, it triggers you for an extra year, or it triggers your next set of games. Your appearances go from 2,000 to 5,000. So it can hinder you, but I think that's where most players, like anyone, would like to get it all up front and in their basic wage rather than than in the bonuses. But I've seen it work for good. Drive players on, and I've also seen it for the worse, where you're losing a player.
Wow.
But again, it's mad because it's real life. It's like a game. It's like, wow, I've actually been in dressing rooms where teammates have actually going, mate, I can't play Saturday because it's going to trigger another year. I'm like, the club don't want me.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it's mad.
Interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. So, like, obviously, we're just trying to work out. Then let's have a bit of normal football chat in addition to the FM chat. Then, so Aaron's already mentioned the genius that is Arsène Wenger.
Yeah.
I mean, is he the genius? Is he the genius? Is he? And then the next question after that is who's the best gaffer that you've worked with?
Yeah, I mean, I come through at Arsenal when it was the whole change. So from Bruce Rioch, I was literally like a schoolboy then. But when Arsène come in, I was near enough full time. And from the changing from all the nutrition, like everyone does now. All the stuff that I'm going to say now is just a given now in every club. But he was the one that brought it literally to this country. So all the nutrition, all like the yoga, the mats, the stretching, like everything. You can imagine, like the first day training as a youth team, I'm watching the first team finish training and trying to watch Martin Keown stretch on this mat falling over is one of the funniest sights like we're ever going to see. But if you ask all them down the line, it extended their career, by a good couple of years. But he was just so calm, Arsène. And he didn't blow you away tactically. Like there weren't training sessions where it was like, right, we're going to do this and this, and we're going to our fullback's going to like come inverted, and this one's going to go around the side. And he just really he sort of stripped it back, because I think he knew it. Like he had unbelievable players there. Like we're talking World Cup winners, and players like Thierry that could win a game on his own. He knew he had good players, and he just kept it basic, and he just give a lot of onus to the players to do their own job. And if you do your own job, that all works within the structure of the team. And it was more praise, and very rarely did you see him lose his temper or get angry. And if he did, he'd do it in a way that you felt like you'd let him down. From what I see, and it worked. It just worked. There was like a great culture, a great environment, and it's easy to say that when they're winning and they're winning titles, but there was also times where Man United were clean up as well.
Yeah.
But there was a drive within the squad to challenge every single year. There was winners, and then when you actually look down that tunnel, and I remember once looking down, and there's like Vieira, Petit, Adams, Thierry, Dennis, we're talking men. You look back and you go, wow, these are not just players, these are men, and like they're going to go out of Highbury, and it was a tough place for anyone to go and win at Highbury. So Arsène was like, he definitely paved the way and set sort of the light really for my career. And then I had some great managers. Jose was great. Jose Mourinho, again, was someone that a lot of stuff is happening now where training was structured. It was on the time that you'd walk out and all the equipment was set out already. And you'd walk out and you'd be looking to go, wow, what's that over there? That looks brilliant. That what's this one here? What are these mini goals for? And the way that you'd start on one part of training, then literally just work your way around the two pitches, and then even to the point where the drinks were on the way to the next part of the session. So like nothing was done on time wasted. So he was a genius, and his man management was just off the charts as well. He just knew how to have everyone involved, whether he was playing on the bench or not involved. So made you feel 10 foot tall.
It's crazy you say that, because I remember as a kid as well, I used to be a goalkeeper, and I remember going up to training every time, and it's always like you have this thing where you're getting changed, like, I wonder what's like, you get this excitement, I wonder what's out there, what they've got set up, and as you're walking out, you're seeing things, you're like, oh, what's that? That looks interesting. You start whispering and trying to get with your teammates, and it's like, it's crazy how sometimes in a professional game that sort of stuff can just get lost, because now the game's so professional that it's so focused, it's result driven. That's what they care about. When a lot of these little things that you're talking about earlier, having a healthy change room, obviously can breed good results, and it's just funny how a lot of those little things can just lose its way in a professional game.
Yeah. You'll be surprised actually how many times you kind of walk out for training and like I don't want to say not motivated for it, but if you see the same stuff near enough every other day, it's like if anyone like you could be a multi-millionaire, a billionaire, and if you do the same stuff every day, you're going to get bored. You
need a challenge. Yeah.
So it's nice that when you go out and you see something different, you're like, oh wow, and that's part of managers evolving and coaches, and maybe why Sir Alex Ferguson changed his number 2 so many years. Just to get a different feel, so it's not the same voice. So, listen, everyone had different ways of doing it, and that's the beauty of football, that someone could be direct and go long ball, and someone else could want to be playing out the back, and it all works.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we still get promoted. So there you are.
We achieved our goal. It was
exactly.
Were there any footballers who, and I'm thinking like in Foot Manager we have wonder kids, like players who like the game thinks are going to be really good in the future, and a lot of them do actually work out, but we always remember the ones that don't. And like, were there players that you played with that maybe didn't, like, at the time when they were younger, you thought he's going to be the next big thing. He's going to be the next Messi, the next.
Oh, yeah.
Did you play with Bojan? You might have played with Bojan at Stoke.
Yeah, played with Bojan. Yeah, played with Bojan at Stoke. Yeah. I mean, he come and he was a great lad. Listen, how Stoke ever even signed him is just.
I think everyone's asking that question.
It was ridiculous.
Football Manager signing.
I was going to say, especially the Football Manager player, like, what?
Yeah, that was the turning point where Mark Hughes was trying to change like the direction maybe of Stoke, because I think the season after we got Shaqiri as well, and let me tell you now, Shaqiri, his first training session at Stoke, oh my God, he like. If there's a video of it, it would be video gold. He was whipping balls in the stanchion. He was putting people on their backside. He was popping it through people's legs. We're like, what is this player doing here? What have we got? Like, he's signed. It's unbelievable. But yeah, going back to Bojan, he was a great lad. And again, probably someone that come with great pedigree. And we see glimpses of it in the Premier League. But I just think that probably that physicality of and intensity of doing it every single week, especially on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke, was a bit too much.
Were there other players who you thought were going to make it and never did, that you played with maybe earlier in there? Because Bojan then was quite later in his career, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of players at Arsenal that was much better than me, that should have had much better careers, and for one reason or another, it just didn't work out. And there's fine lines in football. Like, you could easily be at a Premier League academy and sign professional forms, and then within 2 years find yourself in League One, League Two, where you shouldn't really be, and probably the football doesn't really suit you, and you just end up kind of sort of just being stagnant and being lost down there.
Yeah.
And I remember having conversations with players that was in the Championship going, oh, what's it like in the Premier League? And I'm like, mate, you're good enough to be in the Premier League. I've seen you play. Like, you just need a bit of luck, or your team to get promoted, or to have a good season and someone take a punt on you. It's such fine lines. It really, really is in football, like in terms of the levels that you get to. But yeah, that's the gamble and the joys and all that. But let me tell you, like, I was lucky enough to have nearly probably a 20-year career, and that went so quick. It just flew by, and I wish I could relive it because I miss it so much. I do miss it.
I mean, me and the wife were rewatching the Crouchy doc the other day, and even then, just the idea that just a manager just taking a punt on him, going right.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, I sort of watched that. Yeah.
Work, and then I think it was Harry, wasn't it? Who just went, "Yep, that's the player that I need."
But it's the trust as well. It's after that him getting booed and then abused as well, and the manager still trusted him. Like, you've got to have that behind you.
Follows him around and goes to other clubs. It's like, right, that's my gaffer. I'm going to go and work for him because he gets the best out of me, and I get the best out of him.
Yeah.
That trust, isn't it? That you build up over time.
It's like, reminds me of recently, it's like Lukaku and Conte. There's just this relationship with the two. It's just like, it's unbreakable. But then when you see Lukaku in a different system, you're like, that can't be the same. That's not the same player.
Yeah.
How's your first touch gone from super good to not so good? I don't understand that. Yeah.
When you get someone on confidence, it's in any walk of life. You just, especially a footballer, I can't tell. Some don't need it. Some have really got self-confidence, but everyone likes a pat on the back or a well done, or doesn't matter if you're the most hardest person in the world that can drive yourself on. But when you get that, you feel invincible, and when someone's playing and they're invincible, you can see it a mile away. They just can't do anything wrong. So but I was going to say, one of the funniest things, like, especially towards probably the back end of my career, was when you get on the team bus after. And I swear, the amount of people that are playing Football Manager, like, there's literally straight on laptops are on. And I didn't, like, at the time now, because I never played the game or never really followed it then. Them conversations just went past my ear. Whereas now I'm looking back, I'm going, bloody hell, when we got on that coach coming back from Newcastle, it was like they have like 5 players with all laptops going. They said, you need to sign him, you need to buy this one. He's ripping up to me. Like, I'm going, oh my God, wow. It was that probably right in front of my face back then, like we're going, whatever, 5, 6, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just oblivious to me then. But now I'm going, no, yeah, I remember that journey. I remember them players on it. And I remember this going, yeah, you need to do this, you need to start there. And yeah, so I think, yeah, it's definitely getting bigger and bigger within the football sanctum of all levels as well. We're talking Premier League players as well.
Oh
yeah, we know Griezmann plays it, for example.
Yeah.
And there's a few other high-profile players who, I think does Shaqiri play? I think Shaqiri plays it. I can't remember now.
Yeah, he might have done.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah.
Have you ever looked at yourself in the game, Steve?
I've never. No, do you know what? I'm one of them ones. Even like when I played it or the other games, FIFA and stuff, I'd never go and buy myself or play myself.
I think you would have enjoyed it in this one though, because he was actually fairly decent. That Reading team, to be fair. That Reading team, to be fair.
Depends what year you go to. Yeah, I mean the Reading one, I think everyone sort of goes back to that and the stats and stuff you pick up. But yeah, I even now I do things on TV and stuff, and like they do replays on like the next day, or if it comes on, my kids watch it. But if it comes and I'm on it, I'm not. I turn the TV like the channel. I hear my voice, I'm like, no, get me off. No, don't. That's not enough for me.
Here's a question that we've had, and it's come from our community in our Discord, which of course when you were talking about the save and we're getting the FM community involved. Question we got here from one of our mods, Rogie, who's asked, if you had to pay it forward, be the FM vet to a newcomer to FM, which teammate would you choose and what would their save be? That's a great question.
Oh wow. So if I had to get someone else involved in the game, is that what you're saying? And where to start?
To ruin someone else's good time.
Life.
Wow.
Who's too happy?
Do you know what?
Crouchy's
Do you know
happy.
what? Do you know what? And I know he's got a similar personality to me. John Terry, right? And I know I know he wants to get in with his coaching and he's he's waiting to sort of start his managerial career. But this would be the best warm-up for him to do that.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is just waiting to start with that manager's job at Chelsea. And I have to say to him, you can't start at the top. You need to go down. You're going to need to go down. So I'd have to maybe get him starting somewhere probably where he grew up. So he grew up like I think it was East End, Barking Way. So maybe like Leyton Orient or someone like that. And then and learn the ropes, because that it's like, listen, what if he does that for one season, he's either going to definitely go into management or he's going to say to his agent, "That's me done. I don't want to do it anymore."
We have to somehow get into contact, because when you was watching it, you can tell like the light bulbs and the focus. Like when people talk about John Terry and his personality and how professional he is, like we just got that glimpse. We met him he was there for the whole day, but he was around our station for about 20 minutes, and we just got a glimpse there, just how like straight away he saw the screen, he was just locked in. It was like straight focus, and it was asking questions. You're like, wait, you're asking Big John Terry's head, he's asking me questions. I'm dying to meet you. But yeah, he was just so focused, and you could tell there was a part of him like he wants to get into it. But it feels like also he's got that personality. If he does get stuck into it, I don't know how his missus is going to get him off it.
And as well, he's an absolute winner. Like he has to.
He has to win.
If you play him at anything, I'm talking football, darts, snooker, pool, cards, anything he does, he has to win. So if he gets involved in this, it'll be like, right, if I can't win this legitimately, how can I manipulate manager to try and
want to Aaron?
Thanks. 43 one.
Yeah.
If he ever does it, I'll have to make sure he's got a speed dial list of like all you guys in all
Right.
Transfers. Let's get second in.
Everyone's busy. TJ, what buttons do I have to press? Do you remember? No idea. Yeah. Another question we got then, just as we're starting to wrap this up to where we've took you for most of the evening here. We'll talk podcasting, because obviously, this is not your first rodeo. let's talk Crouchy's podcast. How did that come about? And yeah, what's the plan for that going forward?
Yeah, so obviously I've known Crouchy since we were kids, playing against each other. He was at Spurs and I was at Arsenal, and then we played for England under 21s and then played against each other and then with each other at Stoke. So yeah, I've known him for a long time, and then went on as a guest a few years back. And it was kind of like a guest, but also maybe a trial period to see how it was going to go with me and him. But because we knew each other outside of football and socialised outside of football as well, we've got chemistry and it was fine. And then, there was a lot of people that was going, what a great podcast. And then the next one, I was actually away in Spain, and we had Idris Elba on as a guest on the podcast. So Crouchy called me and was like, listen, I want you to come on. I want you to do it with us. So I flew back on my own from holiday, and the producer said to me of the podcast, he said, look, would you, I won't tell the lads, but he said, would you do a rap battle with Idris Elba? And I was like, not really. It's like, that's like Idris Elba, that's his bread and butter. That's what he does. I don't mind doing a rap, and not telling no one, even Idris, and then I just bang out some lyrics. And he was like, would you? And I was like, yeah, I don't mind doing that. So I literally, honestly, on the plane journey on the way home, I wrote out these lyrics on a pad and paper, and
Steve had a pleasure with his beats and rapping.
Honestly, the opening of the podcast, Crouchy didn't know, Idris Elba didn't know, Chris Stark didn't know, and I was like, listen, I've done a rap for you guys, and I just went on this sort of this free flow of a rap, and I swear Idris Elba must have thought, what the hell am I doing in this room? But it was so funny because he was doing so many promos that day, and he was doing so many different podcasts and interviews. Everyone must have been the same. Oh, Idris, tell us about your new show. Tell us about what character do you...
Oh, yeah.
And he loved this from us, and it sort of broke the ice straight away, and his team were behind going, time, and he was like, no, I'm staying a bit longer. And yeah, it literally just went on from there. So that was 2 years ago, and yeah, we've sold out Wembley Arena. We've sold out 12,000 people doing the show for Crouch Fest, and we've done Isle of Wight, and yeah, whatever. There's no limits on that podcast, so whatever we do kind of sticks as well. So we've got to be careful of what we actually say, because it goes global, and it goes global quick. So yeah, hopefully a few more years of doing it, and yeah, onwards and upwards of some bigger stages and tasks to fill.
Fantastic. Just for reference, well, it's the same way that Sai got the gig here as well.
Yeah. Just sitting in 1 week. I didn't do a rap. That's okay.
Let us down.
Yeah, we should say as well, shout out, by the way, to our mutual friend Chris Stark as well, who's a podcast genius and a radio presenter.
Yeah.
He's fantastic, and holding it all together. Right, Sids, I've got to say it, honestly, I've had such a great time the last few weeks, and getting you on the pod's been fantastic. So thank you so much for doing it, and obviously
Absolute
so much
pleasure.
for being part of the stream and stuff. Do you want to plug anything? What have you got to plug? Obviously the pod, or anything else, or?
To be fair, not really a lot. I'm doing.
Sports.
You know, listen. You know me. I hate speaking about myself, so I just carry on. Just being. I'm doing the London Marathon in April. So follow my socials and stuff, and there'll be some links on there for some charities that I'll go into a later point. But yeah, at the minute I'm busy training for the marathon and just getting on with life, really. So, and it's a pleasure to come on and be with you guys. And yeah, the Football Manager stuff, listen, I absolutely loved it. It was a great journey. I didn't think I'd be as hooked as this into it, but I can seriously see now how you're all hooked on it and the setups that you got, and I actually really appreciate you guys, what you do. So this will be the start of the journey. I'll probably go quiet for a bit, and then when I'm in the new house and new setup, I'll be coming on, and I'll be asking all you lot for a bit of help and advice.
What about real managerial gigs, or is that?
Yeah, do you know what? I've done my badges. it's something that I would like to go into. Again, it's something that very similar to what you guys do. It takes over your life, like I said earlier on, and I've spoken to Stevie or Frank and Scott Parkers and that are all doing it, and they've all said the same thing. Listen, if you don't have to do it, don't do it, because the sooner you do, you will get the bug. It's a drug, and you cannot get out of it. So that scared me off straight away. But I've got an inkling to get back into it. So maybe if there's an opening somewhere, and I don't mind starting lower down to go back up, or go in as an assistant or shadow someone for a bit. But yeah, in the meantime, I'll definitely be playing a bit of FM and learning that way as well.
Fantastic. I might see you in the dugout at Newport for real. We'll put the podcast, get you back next year and see where you're up to.
Yeah, cool.
Right. We're going to lock this off. We're going to have a bit of a chat for Patreon. Steve, honestly, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, mate. Really, really enjoyed it. Everyone, you know where to follow us on the socials. It's at the FM Show Pod. And of course, drop us an email, thefmshowpod@gmail.com. It's been fun. Speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. All the best.
Take it easy, lads. See ya.